Berry de Mey is one of those names you hear once and never forget. Born on February 23, 1962, in Rotterdam, he would go on to become one of the most iconic bodybuilders in the world. But long before any trophies or fame, he was just a Dutch kid trying to figure out who he was and how far he could push himself. Standing between 1.83 and 1.85 meters tall, about 6 feet 0 inches to 6 feet 1 inch, and competing at 102 to 106 kilos, 225 to 233 pounds. Berry had that perfect mix of size, elegance, and proportion. He wasn't just another muscular athlete. His physique looked like it had been sculpted. That visual harmony caught people's attention early on, opening doors and earning him admirers everywhere he went. That standout aesthetic is what gave him the nickname, the Flexing Dutchman, a title packed with charm and personality. In the 1980s, Berry basically became a symbol of glamour in bodybuilding, standing out not only for his body, but also for his stage presence and the way he carried himself. But before becoming a stage icon, Berry de Mey was just an energetic kid trying to find the right outlet. He tried everything: swimming, running, martial arts, and even boxing. Each new sport seemed promising, but none of them pushed him with the kind of intensity he craved. During his teenage years, Berry believed the extreme he was looking for was in the special forces. He wanted something tough, something that would test his physical and mental limits. But ironically, the path to that life started somewhere he never expected: a neighborhood gym. At 15, with zero intention of becoming a bodybuilder, he walked in just to get stronger. Inside that small gym, fate gave him one of those tiny nudges that change everything. Berry spotted a poster of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and in that moment, his entire view of bodybuilding flipped. He realized it wasn't just about having huge muscles. It was about aesthetics, symmetry, and art. That poster lit a fire in him. After that discovery, Berry made one of the boldest decisions of his life. He ditched his dream of joining the military and took on a new mission: becoming a world-class bodybuilder. At just 15 years old, he mapped out his own future and decided nothing would get in his way. Later on, Berry would find out he had ADHD, attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder, a neurobiological condition that makes focusing, controlling impulses, and maintaining attention a real challenge. He believes this constant search for intense stimulation helped push him toward bigger and bigger goals. When Berry finally dove into bodybuilding, he didn't have videos, famous coaches, or long online explanations. Everything began in his dad's garage, where a few basic weights turned into the perfect laboratory for experimenting, messing up, and learning. It was in that improvised setup that he built his foundation and found the courage to step on stage for the first time. In 1979, still very young, he entered the Mr. Ironman, a huge leap for someone training purely by instinct. And the results shocked everyone. He won the up to 190 pounds category. For a beginner, winning that early was more than just a trophy. It was proof that he was headed in the right direction. Even though he trained with discipline, his early diet was pure experimentation. Berry was convinced he needed protein at all costs, and without proper guidance, he ended up trying some extreme approaches, like eating 3 whole chickens a day for 2 weeks straight. It sounds wild, but back then, trial and error like that was pretty common. Berry learned fast, and that unshakable determination made his progress take off like a rocket. Starting in 1980, he began dominating the junior division, stacking up national and international wins with impressive consistency. Every competition reinforced that this young Dutch athlete was something special, someone who, in such a short time, was already turning heads everywhere he went. Those early victories didn't just build his confidence, they opened the door to much bigger challenges. Then came 1982, a true turning point in Berry de Mey's life. That year, he pulled off something so rare that only Arnold Schwarzenegger had done it before. He won the IFBB Mr. Europe in the senior division while he was still a junior. That win stunned the crowd and instantly placed him on a higher level within the sport. And in that same year, competing alongside Erica Mess, he also took the title at the European Mixed Pairs, proving his stage presence worked just as well in a duo as it did solo. That extraordinary moment in 1982 set the stage for even bigger achievements in the following years. In 1983 and 1984, Berry competed on the world amateur scene and secured back-to-back runner-up finishes. Even without taking the gold, placing second twice showed he was already among the very best bodybuilders on the planet. The next big step hit full force in 1985, when Berry experienced his true international breakthrough. That year, he won the World Games both in the heavyweight division and in the overall title, completely dominating the event. This historic win earned him his pro card, officially opening the doors to the IFBB elite. And his debut at the Mr. Olympia, finishing 6th, made it clear he wasn't there just to show up. He was there to compete. Between 1986 and 1988, Berry lived the brightest phase of his career. He became a constant presence in European Grand Prix shows and at the Olympia, standing on stage with the legends of that era. More than once, he finished ahead of giants like Tom Platz and Bob Paris, something fans and the media definitely noticed. Then came 1988, the year that carved his name into bodybuilding history. At the Mr. Olympia, Berry placed 3rd, standing on the podium next to Lee Haney and Rich Gaspari, two of the greatest of all time. That moment didn't just crown his rise, it turned him into a global icon. It was the ultimate proof that the flexing Dutchman wasn't just about aesthetics. He was talent, dedication, and history being written right in front of everyone. After years of climbing higher and collecting incredible achievements, 1989 brought one of the toughest moments of Berry de Mey's entire career. At just 27 years old, he suffered a torn chest muscle during a training session in his hometown. For an athlete whose biggest strength was his flawless aesthetics, this injury was devastating. It wasn't just physical pain, it was the sudden interruption of a dream at its peak. Even with such a serious injury, Berry refused to quit. He returned to the stage, determined to keep doing what he loved. But with clear physical limitations, he could no longer present the same symmetry and fullness that once made him stand out worldwide. Still, the courage to continue competing showed just how deep his passion for the sport truly ran. Even though getting back to the top was tough, Berry still pulled off solid results. In 1991, he placed 3rd at the WBF Grand Prix, proving that his determination was stronger than any setback. For many athletes, that would have been the perfect moment to retire, but Berry wasn't done. He kept going, giving fans a few more years of hard work and dedication. The following years made it clear that he no longer had the same competitive potential he had before the injury. Even so, Berry kept showing up at events, honoring the fans and the sport itself. His post-injury career wasn't about titles anymore. It was about courage and perseverance, values just as meaningful as any trophy. Finally, in 1994, Berry stepped on a professional stage for the last time, competing at the Arnold Classic, where he finished 15th. That marked the end of a chapter filled with glory, pain, bravery, and reinvention. With that farewell, he wasn't just leaving the stage. He was opening space for a whole new phase of life. When Berry de Mey retired in 1994, many people assumed that was the end of his connection to bodybuilding. But in reality, it was just the start of something new. Stepping away from competition forced him to rediscover who he was beyond the trophies, something many athletes struggle with. Determined to find a new path, Berry dove into the world of photography. He studied, specialized, and became a respected professional photographer. Interestingly, the same aesthetic sense that captivated people on stage now came to life behind the camera. Even after changing careers, Berry never really left bodybuilding. He stayed active behind the scenes, promoting athletes, capturing important moments, and contributing to the sport's growth. His transition was so natural that instead of fading away, he simply found a different way to stay relevant. But his reinvention didn't stop there. In 2011, Berry took another bold step and launched his own supplement line, Berry de Mey Nutrition. With that move, he jumped back into the fitness industry, this time as an entrepreneur. His experience as an athlete and his deep knowledge of training and nutrition gave the brand instant credibility. Berry de Mey's training philosophy was always a direct reflection of who he was: intense, disciplined, and deeply connected to his own body. For him, training wasn't just following a program. It was about interpreting every signal his muscles sent. One of his most sacred rules was warming up. Berry never touched heavy sets before he was fully prepared. He always said that only when he was hot and at his peak could he tap into his real potential. To avoid any sign of stagnation, Berry turned variation into his biggest weapon. He changed reps, sets, rest times, and even the execution style, keeping his muscles constantly guessing. Supersets, drop sets, and giant sets were a natural part of his routine. He knew the body adapts fast, and that's why he was always creating new ways to challenge himself. His training style was organized, but never stiff. Berry split his workouts by muscle groups, making sure every part of his body got full attention. Still, within that structure, he had the freedom to adjust intensity and techniques based on how he felt each day. That balance between discipline and instinct is what made his training so effective and so uniquely his. Berry de Mey's routine always reflected his search for balance, intensity, and aesthetics. He divided his body into specific muscle groups, giving each session total focus. That kind of structure allowed every muscle to get the attention it needed, with no rushing and no distractions. For chest training, Berry relied on the basics done perfectly: bench press, incline dumbbell press, and cable crossovers. He believed classic movements, when executed flawlessly, delivered better results than any flashy new technique. The combination of strength and stretch created the full, round, aesthetic chest that became one of his trademarks. When it came to back day, his approach was just as straightforward and powerful. Deadlifts, bent-over rows, and pull-downs formed the core of the session. These exercises demanded full-body strength, activating almost the entire upper torso and building the impressive width that made Berry stand out on stage. For shoulders, Berry focused on military press, lateral raises, and front raises. This trio built the round, three-dimensional look that became one of the most admired features of his physique. By mixing heavy work with precise isolation, he managed to shine in every pose. Arm day included dumbbell curls, cable triceps extensions, hammer curls, and skull crushers. Berry believed strong arms were essential to completing an aesthetic silhouette. He constantly switched up weights, angles, and intensity, so his biceps and triceps were always progressing. And of course, legs were never ignored. With exercises like squats, hack squats, leg press, lunges, and calf raises, Berry built the solid foundation that supported his entire physique. Berry de Mey's relationship with dieting started in a funny and completely wrong way. In his early years, he improvised meals with zero nutritional planning, believing that eating a lot was enough to grow. But over time, he realized reaching a professional level required way more precision. As he matured as an athlete, Berry became extremely meticulous. He logged absolutely everything he ate, drank, and trained, giving himself total control over his daily performance. His team tracked every calorie to make sure nothing slipped out of the plan. That attention to detail helped him understand exactly how his body reacted to each type of food. Another unique aspect of Berry's approach was his extended preparation. Before the traditional 16-week pre-contest phase, he would run a pre-prep so he could start the diet already in good shape. For him, beginning lean meant less stress on the body and more time to refine details. This strategy helped him reach that polished, refined look that became his signature. And maybe the most surprising part of his diet was the gradual increase in calories as the contest approached. While most athletes were cutting food, Berry did the opposite. He started around 2,500 calories and finished close to 3,700 a day. He believed that training more and eating more helped him grow into the show, instead of just getting lean. Throughout this whole phase, Berry focused on lean proteins, complex carbs, and essential fats, the trio that kept his physique both aesthetic and functional. He understood that diet wasn't just fuel, it was a strategy to maintain health, performance, and looks all at once. And honestly, his balanced approach makes you wonder, do we sometimes overcomplicate nutrition when the basics, done right, already work so well? Let me know what you think in the comments. Behind the impressive physique and all the achievements on stage, Berry de Mey always kept a personal side full of simplicity and warmth. Married to Monique de Mey, he found in family life the balance that carried him both inside and outside the sport. Between intense training sessions, travel, and competitions, their partnership became a solid foundation, a reminder that even the biggest athletes need a safe harbor. Together, Berry and Monique built a family rooted in unity and strong values. They have a daughter who grew up watching her father's discipline, passion, and commitment to what he loves. That constant family support helped him navigate tough moments, like the injury that changed his career and pushed him forward into the new phases that came later. Even with a personal life full of responsibilities, Berry never stepped away from the world that made him legendary. He stayed connected to the bodybuilding community, attending events, giving interviews, and taking part in fitness projects. Over the years, Berry embraced a special role as a mentor, helping young athletes find their own path in the sport. His guidance goes far beyond training programs or diet tips. He talks about balance, health, and mindset, lessons he learned the hard way. Berry de Mey isn't just one of the greatest bodybuilders from the Netherlands. He's one of the most iconic aesthetic figures the sport has ever seen. His harmonious physique, commanding stage presence, and professional attitude placed him among the most admired athletes of all time. And his legacy goes far beyond trophies. Berry became a symbol of dedication, balance, and longevity, proving that a brilliant career can be built without sacrificing your health. His journey serves as a guide for anyone who wants to compete with intelligence, awareness, and genuine passion. For decades, Berry appeared on the covers of legendary magazines like Muscle and Fitness, Flex, Ironman, and Muscle Mag. Each issue made it clear why his name became synonymous with perfect aesthetics. His image crossed generations, and even today, new fans discover his story and find inspiration in his discipline and drive. In 2008, his impact was officially recognized when he was inducted into the IFBB Hall of Fame, cementing his name among the true giants of bodybuilding. If you made it this far, it's because Berry de Mey's story hit you in some way. So take a second and drop a like. It really helps our work and tells YouTube to show this video to more people who love the golden era of bodybuilding as much as you do. And if you want to support the channel even more, consider becoming a member. Now I want to hear from you. Which part of Berry's journey inspired you the most? The legendary aesthetics, the mental toughness, the discipline, or the reinvention after retirement? Leave your comment down below. I'd love to read it and chat with you. And of course, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next videos. We're working on some amazing content about other legends from bodybuilding history, and you won't want to miss it. Before you go, I've already picked a special video that fits perfectly with this topic. It's right here on the end screen. Click on it and keep going with us on this journey through the legacy of the greatest of all time. See you there.